I thought I knew what love was, until the day she locked me out of my own house and made it clear I was no longer welcome. The cracks in our marriage weren't just cracks anymore. They were fractures threatening to shatter everything I believed in. What happened next changed my life in ways I never saw coming. You ever meet someone and feel like the world just briefly pauses? That was her. I was working late on a Saturday, fixing up a busted old fence in the backyard of one of my regulars. Sweat-drenched shirt, hands covered in pine sap, steel-toe boots caked in dry mud. That's when I saw her. She was visiting her friend next door, laughing about something. Wearing this red sundress and a pair of sunglasses, she'd keep pushing up with her middle finger like it was second nature. I must have looked like a scarecrow who lost his broom, but she waved at me. I smiled. Waved back. That was it. A week later, she walked up to me at the corner coffee shop. Hey, I remember you. You fix things, right? That's how it started. Coffee turned into lunches, lunches into dinners. I'd take her to my favorite cheap joints, real food, not plated decor. She laughed at my jokes, kissed me even when I smelled like sawdust, and said things like, I love that you work with your hands. Real men do. Her family, though, different story. They were polite at first, sort of. Polite in the way someone says, oh wow, you work with wood, while giving you that look like they'd rather be chewing gravel. Her dad, during a barbecue, asked me if I ever planned to move up from manual labor. Her mom laughed when I brought over a wine bottle with a $9.99 sticker still on it. I shrugged it off. People talk. What mattered was her. She defended me, even told her parents to knock it off a few times. So I thought, yeah, this is someone I can build a life with. We got married 9 months later. But after the rings were exchanged, things started changing. Next part? I'll tell you when those little jokes turned into something much worse. The first few months after the wedding were decent. She still kissed me goodbye in the mornings, still curled up next to me on the couch. But I started noticing little things, small comments that didn't sit right. The kind you hear and think, wait, did she really just say that? Like the time I came home after replacing a rotten subfloor. I was covered in dust, and my shirt looked like it had been through a war zone. She laughed when I walked in and said, you look like someone who broke into the house, not someone who owns it. Then she added quickly, kidding, kidding. Another time we were out with her coworkers at some overpriced gastropub. I was in my usual clean jeans, flannel, and boots. Not fancy, but not a slob either. I fit in just fine. But as we were walking back to the car, she nudged me and said, you seriously couldn't have at least changed your shoes? You look like you wandered off a construction site. Again, just a joke. I told myself not to overthink it. Everyone cracks a joke here and there. But it wasn't just her. Her dad would pat me on the back and say, still fixing toilets for a living, huh? Her mom once referred to me as her little handyman project. Her brother joked that I probably bring the property value down just by standing on their lawn. Every single time. I looked at her to see if she'd step in like she used to. But now, she'd just smile awkwardly and sip her wine. And the worst part? These weren't jokes anymore. They were rehearsed lines from people who never saw me as enough. And now, my own wife had joined the chorus. The realization stung. But I hadn't even scratched the surface of what was coming next. It was a Tuesday evening when the shift really hit me. I came home after a 12-hour day rehabbing an old deck. Sunburned, hungry, exhausted. I kicked off my boots at the door, like I always did, and dropped my tool belt near the entryway. She walked out of the kitchen, took one look at me, and said, can you not sit there? That's the clean sofa. I laughed, thinking she was joking. I always sat there. It was our movie spot, our popcorn and wine spot. But she wasn't smiling. I just had it cleaned, she said sharply. Go change first. You smell like a warehouse. I stood there stunned. It's me. I'm not rolling in tar. I literally just came from a client's house. I cleaned up before I left. She crossed her arms. Yeah, well, maybe you should think about getting a job where you don't come home looking like you crawled out of an air vent. I didn't say anything. I just went to the bathroom and changed. But that night stuck with me. It wasn't just one comment anymore. It became routine. She started making a show of wiping down anything I touched. She once told me, dead serious, it's embarrassing having to explain to my friends what you do. Everyone else's husband wears a shirt and tie, goes to conferences, travels. You just fix stuff. I reminded her that I owned my own small business, that I made honest money, paid the bills on time, and never once asked her to contribute a dime more than she wanted to. Her answer? Well, maybe that's the problem. You've settled. That cut deep. The woman who once admired my calloused hands now recoiled from them. She used to say she loved how I could fix anything. Now she rolled her eyes when I even talked about work. And her family? Still chirping in her ear. Still treating me like a charity case in steel toes. But the worst part? I was starting to feel like maybe I was the problem. That day started like any other. Long, hot, and exhausting. I was finishing up a roofing job. Hammer in hand, sun in my eyes, music playing through a half-broken Bluetooth speaker. Just another honest day's work. I even grabbed her favorite takeout on the way home, thinking maybe we could actually sit down and eat like we used to. But when I got home, something fell off. I slid my key into the lock, and it didn't turn. I pulled it out, tried again. Same thing. I checked the key, the door, even the handle. Nothing. Confused, I rang the doorbell. After a few moments, I heard footsteps. Then the door cracked open, just a few inches, enough for me to see her face. She didn't look surprised. Oh, she said, like she wasn't expecting me, like I wasn't supposed to be there. I changed the locks. I blinked. What? I changed the locks, she repeated, this time with less hesitation and more bite. I didn't think you'd be home this early. I stood there stunned. You changed the locks on me? Why? What the hell is going on? She crossed her arms and leaned on the doorframe like she had all the power in the world. Because you keep bringing your grime, your dirt, and your mediocrity into this house. I'm sick of it. This place smells like a job site every time you walk in. I just came back from work, I said, trying to keep calm. I work to support us. This is my house too. She laughed. Your house. Her tone dripped with sarcasm. That's when her parents stepped into view behind her, standing in my hallway, in my home, with smug looks on their faces. Her dad gave me this little shrug like, what did you expect? She said it plainly. You're pathetic. All my friends' husbands are professionals. Real men. You're just some sweaty handyman who got lucky with inheritance. You didn't earn this place. You just exist in it. And you know what? Maybe when you stop being so pathetic and get a real job, a job where you wear an actual shirt and don't reek of old wood, we can talk. I couldn't even respond. My body went numb. I looked past her into the house I'd renovated with my own hands. The hardwood floors? I installed them. The kitchen counters? Chosen and paid for by me. The damn sofa she didn't want me sitting on. My paycheck bought that too. And now I was locked out. Like I was the intruder. I turned around and walked off that porch without another word. But I wasn't defeated. I was done. I barely remember the walk to my truck. The sun was setting, casting this golden light over the driveway. And for a second, I just stood there, toolbox still in the back, dinner in a bag on the passenger seat, heart pounding like a drum in a coffin, locked out of my own home, by my wife, with her smug-ass parents cheering her on like it was some kind of victory parade. I pulled out my phone and stared at the screen. I didn't have many people I could call. My family's gone, and I'm not one for big friend groups. But I had one person, Jake. Jake and I go way back. Grew up together, worked together, built our first shed when we were 16. Now he runs a small business of his own and knows a guy for just about everything. I called. He answered on the second ring. Hey man, everything all right? My voice cracked when I tried to speak. The words caught in my throat, but I managed to get them out. She locked me out of the house, changed the locks, told me I'm pathetic in front of her parents, said I don't belong there anymore. Silence for a second. Then, where are you right now? Outside. Stay there. I'm on my way. You're not spending a damn night in your truck. He picked me up 20 minutes later, no questions asked, drove me straight to his place, gave me a cold beer and a blanket, and said, we're fixing this, but we're doing it smart. That's when I told him the one thing I hadn't told anyone in a long time. The house, it's mine. I inherited it from my grandparents. Owned it before I ever met her. She has no legal rights to it. Not one brick. Jake blinked. She changed the locks on your house? I nodded. Yeah, and I think she's about to find out what a real mistake looks like. He leaned back, cracked his knuckles, and said, then the first thing we're doing tomorrow is calling a lawyer. After the lawyer and I met that morning, we went over everything. Ownership, documentation, timelines. He kept repeating the same phrase. You've got them by the throat. Don't rush. Let's make this count. I learned quickly that my wife never bothered to look into the fine print of anything. The deed to the house, solely in my name. Bought and paid off before I even knew her. The car she loved to drive around in. Acting like a CEO. My name on the registration, my bank account on the loan. Most of the appliances, furniture, all mine. She moved into my world, made herself comfortable, and then tried to throw me out of it. So here's what we did. We filed for divorce, quietly. No warning, no dramatic blow-up. Just paperwork. Then, we filed an official eviction notice. To the address of my own house. Served it directly to her. We also froze the joint account. She only ever deposited a token amount each month. But guess who funded 95% of it? I took my 95% back. The lawyer then helped me file a temporary restraining order on the house. Not against her personally, yet, but as a protective order over my property due to unauthorized access and lock changes. It was enough to prevent her from legally altering anything else. Then we started preparing for the big move, not out of the house, but back into it. Only this time, I wasn't walking in with a lunch bag and a tired face. I was walking in with court papers and a locksmith. But we weren't done yet. You see, revenge is best when it's not just loud, it's undeniable. We had the legal part rolling. Divorce filed, eviction notice served, bank account frozen, temporary protective order on the property. But something still gnawed at me. She humiliated me. Not just by locking me out of my own house, but by dragging my name through the mud in front of her friends, family, and anyone who'd listen. I was her punchline, the embarrassment in boots. The man who wasn't enough. I'd been quiet, dignified, lawful. But now, it was time for people to see the full picture. I didn't post much online. I was never the Facebook venting type. But with some help from Jake, I made a single public post on my personal account. No drama, no direct insults. Just facts. I wrote, after coming home from work, my wife and her family locked me out of my own house. The house I fully own, received years before I met her. She changed the locks, told me I was pathetic for working with my hands, and said I didn't deserve to live in a place I built up from the ground. She stood behind a door I paid for, in a kitchen I renovated, driving a car I bought, while telling me I wasn't a real man. But that's okay, because the locks are changing again, and this time, she's the one who won't be coming back in. I didn't name her. I didn't need to. But people knew. Mutual friends reached out, some stunned, some supportive, a few saying, man, I always thought something felt off. One of her friends even messaged me privately to say, I'm so sorry. She used to brag about how she married a man who could fix anything. What the hell happened to her? The comments poured in. Sympathy, solidarity, outrage, and more importantly, visibility. I let her sit in that house with her parents while the truth about her little power move spread through every social circle she cared about. The image she had, the strong, classy woman who married beneath her, started to collapse. And just as the whispers started, my lawyer and I finalized our next move. Reentry. 2 weeks after she locked me out, we were ready. I stood outside my house, with 2 people beside me. My lawyer, sharply dressed with a thick folder in hand, and a locksmith I'd hired that morning. He was ex-military, calm, and didn't ask questions. Just looked at the door and said, standard deadbolt. I'll be done in 2 minutes. We weren't breaking in. This wasn't petty revenge. This was execution of property rights, fully legal, fully documented, and timed perfectly. As the locksmith worked, I saw movement through the living room window. Then the door burst open. There she was, messy bun, robe, holding a mug like it was a weapon. Her parents behind her again, like backup singers in a bad musical. What the hell are you doing? She screeched. You can't just break in. My lawyer stepped forward, calm as a surgeon. Actually, we can. My client owns this property, has filed an eviction notice, and has a court order for immediate reentry. As of today, you are the one trespassing. She looked between us like it was some sick prank. No, you can't just do this. This is my home too. My lawyer flipped open his folder. You are not on the deed. You were never granted tenancy. You forcibly changed the locks and denied the legal owner access to his own home. You have no legal standing. The locksmith looked up. Done. He opened the door like he was welcoming me to a hotel. I stepped inside. She blocked me. If you step foot in here. I walked right past her, and it was like something shifted. The illusion cracked. Her mom opened her mouth to say something, but my lawyer raised a hand and said, Ma'am, I would strongly advise you not to interfere. You are also trespassing. That shut her up. I walked through the house slowly. My house. The scent was different. Candles, some new rugs, throw pillows I'd never seen. My tools were gone from the hallway bench. My jackets shoved into a bin. She'd tried to erase me. Now I was erasing her. I stood in the center of the living room and said, "You have 48 hours to pack and leave. After that, we file for forcible removal. I'll be working from here with the lawyer. Don't touch anything on your way out." Her face turned pale. Her dad tried to puff his chest, but my lawyer smiled and added, "Oh, and if you damage anything, that's criminal mischief. I'd love to add that to the case." She didn't cry. Not yet. But I could see it building. She stormed out of the room and slammed a door behind her. I looked around and took a long, deep breath. It still smelled like lavender and lies. But it was mine again, and we weren't finished. Once they retreated to the guest room, the one I let them use, by the way, I started walking the halls of my own home like a man inspecting a crime scene. Because that's what it felt like. It wasn't just that she tried to erase me. It was how thoroughly she'd tried. My tool shelf in the hallway? Gone, replaced with fake plants and live, laugh, love signs. My grandfather's old coat rack, the one I'd refinished myself, relegated to the garage, covered in cobwebs. The recliner I sat in every Sunday after work, sold. She left a note in the drawer of the coffee table. It was ugly anyway. Get over it. But then came the real shocker. In the spare bedroom, the one we used as storage, I found a box. Taped shut, shoved under old Christmas decorations. Inside, all my mail, letters from the bank, business invoices, tools I'd ordered, even personal notes from old clients. Some were weeks old. I flipped through them, heart pounding, then pulled out a small padded envelope, one I knew should have arrived a month ago. It was a gift from a customer, a custom-engraved chisel, sent as thanks after I repaired her family's farmhouse deck. I opened the packaging and saw the chisel, untouched, unopened, engraved on the side. To the man who rebuilt what others gave up on. My throat tightened. She'd hidden this from me. She didn't just lock me out physically. She was already cutting me off long before I ever touched the front steps. Keeping things, stealing time, sabotaging my business behind my back. This was bigger than bitterness. It was sabotage, control, disrespect, brick by brick. Jake came by that evening, brought beer, and helped me move some of the old stuff back in from storage. We sat in the garage, the only place that hadn't been completely whitewashed by her, and I told him everything. He looked around and said, "You need to throw a party when they're gone. A real one. Let people see this place the way it's meant to be." I smirked. "Oh, don't worry. I've got something better in mind." Because while I was reclaiming my space, I was also planning the final blow, something public, undeniable, and unforgettable. After reclaiming my space, room by room, box by box, I knew I didn't just want her gone. I wanted her to know exactly why. But I wasn't about to scream or throw things or stoop to their level. I wanted this moment to stick with her, to haunt her every time she bragged to someone about how she used to live in that beautiful house with the open kitchen. So I gave her a choice. 40 hours after serving the eviction notice, I knocked on the guest room door. She opened it, makeup smeared, her mother behind her on the bed pretending not to eavesdrop. "I'm giving you a way out," I said. "A quiet one." She laughed. "Is that supposed to scare me?" "No," I said calmly. "I'm giving you the option to leave peacefully and privately. No cops. No movers watching. No neighbors filming. You and your folks can walk away with whatever you brought in and never hear from me again." She narrowed her eyes. "And if I say no?" I smiled. "I've already scheduled the sheriff to supervise your eviction on Friday. The court order allows it. You'll be walked out, box by box, in front of every neighbor who used to think we were the perfect couple. I'll record it if I want. I might even live stream it." Her smirk faded. "But," I continued, "if you take the quiet way out, I'll give you 24 extra hours, and I won't press charges for tampering with mail or destruction of property." She paled. "What mail?" I held up a photo of the chisel, the letters, the business documents she hid. "That's federal, by the way." Her dad finally spoke up, voice shaky. "You're threatening a woman, son. That's low." I turned to him. "You were standing behind the door when she locked me out of my own house. You helped her do this. You're lucky I'm not charging you, too." They had no words. And I wasn't finished. "One more thing," I added. "You have to sign this. I held out a printed agreement, drawn up by my lawyer, stating she waives all claims to the house, the car, and any marital assets purchased with my money. No alimony. No future harassment. Just a clean, final goodbye. She read through it in silence, then glared up at me. This is disgusting. No, I said. What you did was disgusting. This is closure. I left the paper on the hallway table. By morning, it was signed. And by the next night, they were gone. No dramatic exits. No screaming. Just the sound of cheap suitcases rolling over my hardwood floors, and the click of the door closing behind them for the last time. But the story doesn't end there. After they left, the house felt different, quieter, but heavier, like the weight of everything unsaid was finally lifting. But my real fight wasn't just for the house. It was for my reputation. You see, she hadn't just humiliated me in private. She spread stories, whispered lies about me at work, to friends, even to my own clients. That I was lazy, unambitious, just a handyman, as if that was some shameful secret. So I decided to set the record straight. With my lawyer's help, I drafted a public statement, factual and calm. I sent it to her circle, to mutual friends, and to local business groups where I worked. In it, I explained that I am the rightful owner of the home, purchased and maintained long before the marriage. That my business is legitimate, my clients satisfied, and my work respected. That attempts to discredit me were baseless and driven by personal spite. And most importantly, that I would no longer tolerate slander or harassment. The reaction was immediate. Messages poured in, apologies, support, even some old clients who'd been kept in the dark because of her rumors. One by one, her friends started distancing themselves. They didn't want to be tangled in a mess that wasn't theirs. She tried to respond, sending texts and emails full of anger and denial, but I simply blocked her everywhere. Then came the unexpected. A local newspaper, tipped off by one of my supporters, ran a small feature about my business and the recent dispute, portraying me as a hard-working man wronged by a toxic relationship. I got calls from new clients the very next day. For the first time in months, I felt pride. Not because I won back my house, but because I won back myself. But the final chapter wasn't done yet. Just when I thought the dust was settling, she decided to strike back. A few days after the article hit the local paper, I started getting emails marked urgent, filled with accusations of financial misconduct, claims that I was hiding assets, even hints at some secret debts. At first, I ignored them. My lawyer assured me they were baseless and probably attempts to intimidate me into dropping the divorce. But then, things escalated. She filed a motion in court claiming entitlement to part of the house and demanded an injunction to freeze the sale of my business equipment I'd paid for out of pocket, long before our marriage. It was clear she was trying to drag this out, hoping to bleed me dry emotionally and financially. I knew I had to act fast. My lawyer and I gathered every scrap of evidence, receipts, bank statements, even sworn affidavits from clients who'd paid me directly. We filed a counter motion, not only denying her claims, but asking the court to award us attorney's fees due to her frivolous and bad faith litigation. At the hearing, her lawyer presented their case, but the judge saw through the smoke and mirrors immediately. The judge dismissed her motion, awarded us the fees, and warned her about potential sanctions if she continued with baseless claims. The look on her face when the judge said, "This case is closed," was priceless. That was the last time I heard from her. She disappeared from all social media, stopped calling, and even her family avoided me after that. It was over, but I wasn't bitter anymore. Looking back, it's wild how quickly things changed. From the woman who once admired my work and said she loved my hands, to the person who locked me out, insulted my livelihood, and tried to erase me. That hurt. A lot. But here's what this whole experience taught me. Never let anyone define your worth. Whether you're a carpenter, a teacher, or a CEO, your job doesn't make you less or more valuable. I learned to stand proud of my work and the honest life I built. Trust actions, not words. Her words changed, and so did her behavior. When someone starts disrespecting you consistently, don't ignore it. Confront it early or walk away before it becomes a storm. Know your rights and fight for them. I didn't realize how much control I had until I talked to a lawyer. Property law, asset ownership, knowing this stuff saved me. Support matters. Jake, my lawyer, and even some unexpected friends were my anchors. Don't isolate yourself. Closure is a choice, not an event. I didn't get closure the day she locked me out. I got it the day I took back my life, legally, emotionally, and publicly. If you're in a similar situation, disrespected, belittled, or controlled, remember this. You don't have to stay. Fight smart. Stand tall. And most importantly, believe you deserve better. After the dust settled, I knew I had a lot to rebuild. Not just the house or the business, but me. I threw myself into work like never before. Took on bigger projects, started offering custom woodworking classes, and even hired an assistant so I could focus on expanding. The local article and the public statement gave me a boost. More clients, more respect. People saw the real me, not the caricature painted by her. But it wasn't all work. I started reconnecting with old friends I'd neglected, and I even joined a local hiking group to get out and clear my head. Slowly, I began dating again, carefully, but with an open heart. This time, I was clearer about what I deserved. One night, a friend toasted to me and said, "You survived hell, and you're stronger now." It felt true. The house felt like home again, not because of the walls, but because it was mine and I was whole. Respect is not optional in a relationship. If your partner mocks your work, belittles your efforts, or drags you down in front of others, that's a red flag waving hard. Don't ignore it hoping it'll get better. Know your legal rights. Property, finances, shared assets. Educate yourself early. You don't need to be rich or a lawyer, but knowing your basics can save you from nightmare scenarios. Keep your support system close. Friends, family, good people who see your worth. They are your armor. Don't isolate yourself. Don't be afraid to walk away. Sometimes love isn't enough. Sometimes the person you thought was your partner is toxic. It's okay to leave. It's okay to choose your peace. Rebuild on your terms. When you do move on, do it your way. Whether it's focusing on work, hobbies, or new relationships, make it about you. I came out of this broken, but not defeated. Stronger, wiser, and ready for whatever comes next. And to anyone out there feeling stuck or small, you're worth more than you know. Stay strong. Keep fighting. You've got this.